When raising capital, confidence plays a significant role. In this video, I'm going to take you through the 4-step process you need to go through to make sure that you're going to be confident when you go through your own capital raising process. If you like the video, like, share, and subscribe to make sure you get more content just like this. Where can you go to learn about raising money? In fact, there's no school to go through. No one's really providing processes, no one's providing education, because the reality is, for most of the people that actually help companies with raising money, it's actually not in their best interest. More than that, most of the information you'll find online, as we've talked about before, it's really only targeted towards how you can approach VCs. But they represent a small percentage of who the actual total potential investor marketplace is. Regardless, you need to make sure that when you're going to a capital raising process, you have as much confidence that you are doing the right thing as you possibly can, right? Now, let me use myself as an example. Been running Wholesale Investor for 12 years. Wholesale Investor is a platform which connects high growth companies with high net worth investors, right? That is what we do. Now, our skill set is around the promotional part, the matchmaking, the marketing, etc. We host live events, we host virtual events, we basically create environments to allow people to network together. Now, that doesn't mean that I was the most skilled person at raising money. In fact, when I raised money, it was specifically through one main institutional investor. So it was a different process. And in fact, it was through basically just conversations that this opportunity come about. We weren't actually technically in a capital raising process. So when I embarked on a capital raising just over a year ago, I realized that I actually really didn't know much about the exact specific process to go through, right? So I started asking a whole bunch of people, I started asking questions, I started reading online, probably all the things that you're doing right now. So my 4 steps that I'm going to give you is, the first one is get educated, right? You need to be educated on firstly what the process is, firstly how to actually structure everything. You need to understand what to experience. You need to understand the emotions of the process. We have done plenty of videos that talk about the 7 steps that you need to go through raising money. I've learned that the hard way. I highly recommend don't copy me, right? Go and watch those videos, learn from them. When I say don't copy the same mistakes that I've made. I do my best to outline all the rejections, all the mistakes that I've made. So number 1 is go and watch other videos, get yourself educated on what the process is that you need to, what the steps you need to take when you go through a capital raising. The next part, number 2, is process. Now, when I refer to process, I mean you should be looking at how you can template every single thing that you're about to do. No different to how, as I said, capital raising is similar to sales and marketing, right? When you go through a sales process, you typically have templates for every stage of the process. You should do exactly the same for your capital raising. Template your invitation to existing investors. Template your invitation to potential investors, right? Template your communications if you're inviting people to your deal room. You should template template your script for your first conversation with potential investors. You want to make sure from an investor's perspective that dealing with you is simple, it's comfortable, right? And they feel like they're dealing with a professional. This stuff is really simple. In fact, we've tried to make it so simple for our clients. We've created a flow chart which says at this stage, and we hyperlinked in all the different scripts that they need so they can literally just copy and paste it. The reason we did that is because I introduced one of my clients one time to an energy investor, right? To an investor. The first thing my client did was sent through a 4-page email with 5 documents attached. I know that investor was never going to read that email. I quickly jumped on the phone and made sure I could still set up that first conversation. So the reason you've got to get that process right is because often you're not going to get a no because someone doesn't like your business. You can often get a no is because the way in which you've approached them is not how they want to receive it. Investors all day long receive bad approaches from companies. Make sure that in your process it is simplified and it's in the way that an investor wants it. I said we've done our best to template everything as much as possible for our clients as part of this process. Step number 3, use software. The reason I say you got to use software is because what happens is, I'll give you an example. If I send an investor an email and it's 5 pages long and it's got 5 documents attached to it, they're not going to open to it. If I invite them into my deal room and I've got 5 documents for them to download and I've got 15 different questions for them to have a look at that other people have asked, they will spend anywhere from half an hour to an hour in my deal room looking at that information, right? Because they've compartmentalized. Email is for quick responses. Deal room is for basically for looking at deals, right? So they compartmentalize it. So that's only one part. The next part is you need analytics, right? You need analytics to know what is exactly happening during your capital raise. How I knew that Investec was interested in my deal room was that every time I sent them an email, every time I communicated with them, that email was being opened between 30 to 60 times. That is how I knew their level of interest. If you've invited an investor to a deal room and they haven't even gone into your deal room, you know they're not interested. The mistake companies make is they send out emails all day long and they think people are opening them, but they actually don't know. So first one is get educated. Second one is your process, make sure that is right. Third one is use software. Use software to manage the process from end to end, right? Including your frequently asked questions, your deal room, your online transaction, share certificates. The more simplified and digitized everything is, the easier it makes it for the transaction to take place for the investor. It makes it more efficient for them. The fourth one is investor attraction. You've got to make yourself as visible as possible, and we've actually got another video for this that you can have a look at. You've got to make yourself as visible as possible, and you've got to put yourself in the right situations at the right time to attract investors to your opportunity. The raising of capital is a process of manufacturing serendipity, and that is really your job as founder. If you can set those 4 elements up, right, in alignment, so if you're educated on the capital raising process, if you're confident in the process you're about to take a potential investor through, if you're using software that helps you with analytics and actually helps guide investors through the process so you don't have to do too much thinking about it, and lastly, if you're basically using a process to attract investors to your deal room, you are going to be confident in your potential for raising money. And as I said, confidence is something that we communicate to other people, that we don't talk about it. It is just there, and it's a knowing from an investor. It's a knowing that you know what you're doing and that you know that you're going through the right process. I hope that's been of help. Understand how powerful confidence is when you're going through a capital raising process. Like the video, share it, and I look forward to sharing more content with you shortly.